Okay, we are 1 minute out, and I wanted to go ahead and get the live going so some people could get that wonderful notification and join me here. We are streaming live on Facebook, and hopefully you are able to hop on. Let's see. Okay, yep, I'm live. So just gonna give it a minute because it's not quite 9 o'clock. And I'm so excited to share my talk with you guys tonight. And I'm going to announce the winner of the coffee samples from last night from Susan's talk. We are giving away, as promised, 3 Natalia Blend coffee samples from our beautiful plantation partnership in Guatemala. So I'm going to go ahead and announce those winners as people are hopping on. So congratulations, each of you are going to win. There were three prizes for last night. There's only 1 prize for tonight, but I'll show it to you in just a second. So congratulations to Ann Best, Kimberly Woodring, and Jackie Policastro. You ladies each won a sample of our Natalia Blend coffee. So if you're here, I can see Jackie is here. So if you're here, congratulations, you won. Ann Best, Kimberly Woodring, and Jackie Policastro. So I will be sending these out to you ASAP so that you can enjoy a cup or 2 of Natalia Blend. Tonight's giveaway for being here live is the Diversity Hoops, which these are not available anymore, but when they were, and when they were going out, I bought a bunch of them because I was like, these are the perfect earrings. They're mixed metal, they're hammered. They're from our artisan group in Kenya. This is Miss Alice. We work with a beautiful group in Kenya that works with individuals who have disabilities and physical challenges. And I love the Diversity Hoops so much. They're like I said, they're kind of the perfect earring. And so I'm giving away a pair of these tonight for being here live. So make sure you comment and so that I can go back into the comments and keep track of everybody that was here and announce that winner probably tomorrow. So this is part 2 of our Fashion Revolution Week Invitation to Hope series. So normally we meet here in this group once a month to do one Invitation to Hope event, but because it's Fashion Revolution Week, we wanted to do something special. This is a special week for Trades of Hope, and we wanted to offer, it's also a great opportunity to learn, and that's so much about what being in the Trades of Hope community is about. As a customer, as a hostess, as a partner, as an affiliate, you are involved in the community because you care about the subject matter that we're all involved in, which is ethical fashion and job creation and preventing human trafficking and making the world a better place for women and families all over the globe. That's what we're here for, and we're here to learn about that. So I'm so excited for Susan's talk last night. Definitely let me know in the comments if you were here for Susan's talk last night. She kind of did a little more of a scholarly lesson on what is Fashion Revolution Week, the history of it, a lot of stats and kind of hard to swallow information about the fashion industry. But that's what's so important about what we're doing here this week and what we're doing at Trades of Hope, is that we can take in these kind of hard situations that exist around the world and not feel helpless to do something. So we are equipped with our businesses through Trades of Hope to do something and not feel like our hands are tied, or that we just have to be sad or guilty or even ashamed of like the way we participate in the fashion industry. We can actually be part of the solution by making those shifts. And Susan talked about progress over perfection. Like nobody is going to be perfect in every purchase that you make, but we can all keep moving towards that. And that's really what my talk is about tonight, which is how to slow down your fast fashion. So got a few more people watching online. I'm going to get started officially, but make sure to comment. Let me know if you were here last night. I would love to know if you were here for Susan's talk. And let me just share my screen and get started. All right. Let me make sure that it is up on Facebook. There we go. Okay, so we're going to talk tonight for just a little bit, 20 minutes or so, about how to slow down your fast fashion. So if you were here last night, you learned about the fashion industry and kind of the current state of the fashion industry. And because of over demand and there is over consumption by us, by consumers. There is overproduction, and that leads to a really unstable work environment and low wages and unsafe working environments and all sorts of problematic things within the fashion industry. So when we talk about slowing down your fashion, it just means maybe looking a little bit closer at the brands that you're buying from and making a couple of different choices. But I've got some 5, I think, pretty interesting tips and hopefully super helpful tips for you to kind of start that process for yourself. So I want to first talk about my own kind of personal style journey and a little bit about how Trades of Hope fits into that. So I have been a partner with Trades of Hope for 10 years, but obviously I have loved style and fashion and getting dressed for a lot longer than that. And really, I think maybe you relate to this. Let me know if you relate to this. My fashion journey probably started when I was like 10 or 11, and I started to be aware of couple of things. 1, my body and the changes that were occurring, and 2, other people and like how I was relating socially and all of the awkwardness and insecurities that came along with that. I really struggled from about age 10 or 11 with getting dressed every day. And it was something that continued probably like well into my late 30s, maybe even a little bit in my early 40s. It's been a journey. And I don't know, can you relate to that? Or did you ever feel insecure as a young girl, a young woman, a grown woman in your body and in the clothes that you were trying to wear? I've seen now in my work as a personal stylist, so many commonalities of women feeling like you just can't hit the right note. You just can't find the right combination. And I've definitely explored things, learned things, experienced things over the years that have helped me in my style journey, and then help me in turn help other women. And it's definitely a process. And I'm not going to solve all of that for you tonight, but I would say, like, right out of the gate, give yourself a lot of grace in that. Work towards having an objective view of fashion and style and even your body, and being able to look at clothing as something that's for you or not for you, and that's okay, is just a really powerful place to be at. And if you're not there, it's okay. And if you're working on that, that's awesome. But it takes a while. I'm 45 years old, and I'm just now probably like easily able to get dressed every day. And it's just because of a combination of all sorts of things that I've done mentally, physically, and, just kind of getting comfortable with who I am, and also falling in love with my own personal style. Trades of Hope fits into that story because 10 years ago, I transitioned from being a high school English teacher to being a stay-at-home mom. And I had a toddler and a baby, and I was, going from this giant wardrobe where I never repeated an outfit once because I was a high school teacher and I wanted to be the stylish high school teacher, to being a stay-at-home mom where nobody cared what I was wearing. Like, I could literally stay in my pajamas all day if I wanted to, or just wear like the same jean shorts and t-shirt. It was a big style shift, and it was really challenging. And Trades of Hope popped up on my Facebook feed, and really it was a cute pair of earrings that caught my attention. And I was like, ooh, those are really cute. How do I get them? And what do they have to do with empowering women out of poverty? And that started me. I hosted a party. I fell in love with the concept. At that time, it just didn't feel like something that could really be real. I knew that it was, but it was like too good to be true almost. And I just fell in love with learning about how fashion could be a force for good, how my shopping could make a difference. And then, of course, how being a partner with Trades of Hope and sharing with others about fair trade and ethical fashion as a means to ending global poverty and preventing human trafficking, like how that could all be part of my story. And it definitely has become part of my style journey. So I'm going to share 5 tips with you tonight on just ways to slow down your fashion. Some you might have heard a little bit last night, but I'm going to kind of go in a different direction even than what Susan shared, and hopefully some will be a little bit new. So something that I think is super important, and this is actually twofold. So first of all, question: where are my straight to the back of the store girls? I'm looking at the comments now. Where are my girls who, when you walk into a store, you're straight to the sale rack? That is definitely, that was me most of my life. Still sometimes I am. Even when you're online, do you go straight to the sales section of the website that you're on? It's fine. Everybody wants a good deal. But this is a two part. So I'm talking about a good deal in terms of something that's on sale, and then a good deal in terms of something that just doesn't cost a lot, because it's, you know, it's like a really inexpensive, like Susan talked about the $20 shirt last night. So these are two aspects of kind of retraining your brain as to like, what is a good deal. So when it comes to sale items, this is more from a style perspective and an overconsumption and like accidental purchase, side. So when you go to the sale rack, especially if you go into a store with intentionally wanting to buy a certain item, which I'll get to that. If you go in with no list, then that's a whole other problem. But if you go in and you're just perusing, often what happens with sale rack items is we settle, right? So we find something, you're like, well, it's not quite the right color, or it's actually a petite and I probably need a regular, or, you know, it kind of fits, or it kind of works, or it's sort of in the season that I want. And we settle and we buy it because it ends up being a great deal. And I can tell you, after stepping into many women's closets over my time as a stylist, there are so many regret purchases that have sales tags still on them, because you bought it and it didn't quite fit the bill. So while it might feel like a good deal, what ends up happening is overconsumption or wasteful purchasing or impulse purchasing of things that you don't really need or are going to use in your wardrobe. And at the end of the day, if you have 10 things that you bought on sale and you never wear any of them, wouldn't it have been better to purchase that item, if that one item that you're going to wear 100 times with that same amount of money? So price per wear of an item is something to really, might be a retraining of your brain. A lot of women, like when I was a teacher, I had like 50 pairs of jeans, right? None of them were probably more than like $40. So they were not like great premium denim jeans. And I probably wore most of them like once or twice. There were a few that had probably got multiple wears, but I didn't have like that perfect pair of jeans that I could put on every time and it always looked good. Like they were always like a little bit off, or there was something not quite right. But if I had invested in, a $200 pair of jeans that I wore 200 times, like that's a much better purchase. And it's much less, I would have wasted so much less time, energy, money, and resources making that different kind of purchase. So thinking about the good deal in terms of a sale is really important. Sometimes I get this question too from customers, like, Trades of Hope puts things on sale, right? But I think it's really important to understand, and this is, I'm sure, the case with most fair trade and ethical fashion retailers. The artisans are paid first, and they're paid upfront, and they're paid their full asking price. So before anything happens, before we put a price on any of the products that we are selling, the artisans have been paid for those products. And so we can do whatever we want with it at that point. We can sell it for $1 if we want, but we're taking the hit. But the margins are determined on our end. And so when we put something on sale, it's part of that process on our end. But the artisans have already been paid their living wage, their full asking price. So I think that's something that's, whether you're a partner or considering being a partner, that when that question comes up from customers, that's an important thing to share. And then the other good deal, of course, and I think most of us are getting much more savvy to this. And that's kind of what Susan shared last night, that when you see a $20 shirt, or if I said a $5 shirt, I don't even know if there's $5 shirts anymore, but you really got to take pause and think about how much the person who made that shirt made. Probably very, very little. And that's, we're too far along in this ethical fashion fair trade journey. I mean, when I started as a partner 10 years ago, fair trade was mostly coffee and chocolate. There weren't a lot of other things. And now, 10 years later, consumers are much savvier. And I know you're a savvy consumer. I know you would take pause when you see that good deal and be like, you know what, I'm going to pass on that. And I'm going to find something I'm going to research this retailer. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. So retraining your brain on the good deal is really, really important in slowing down your fashion. All right. And don't feel bad if you buy stuff on sale. We all do. If you buy something on sale that ends up being a good deal because you wear it a million times, then that's a totally different thing. All right, tip number 2, make sure you have great basics. I think I said good in the slide, but I would say great. Basics are something that so many of my style clients are missing. It was something that I was missing when I transitioned into kind of my new life wardrobe. And I actually hired somebody to come in and kind of edit and work on my closet. I brought in a personal stylist. And it was the greatest gift of, like, I got it for my birthday that year. And it was like the greatest gift anybody's ever given to me, because I had all these clothes. Tell me if this is you. I had all these clothes and I felt like I had nothing to wear. I felt like I could not make outfits. I had all these things that I loved, like individually, like these great tops or these great pants or these great whatever. And like nothing went together and nothing made an outfit. I always felt like silly or inappropriate or whatever. And she looked at my wardrobe and she's like, well, where's your like basic camis, and where's your basic, button downs, and where's this, and where's your, your dark denim? And well, I didn't have any of those things. So guess what? I couldn't make any outfits. You cannot bake a cake with just chocolate. Like, you have to put the flour and you have to put the, the boring ingredients in there, right? Like, you have to put in the cream of tartar. Like, what is that? I don't even know what that is, but it's in a cake. But nobody tastes the cake and they're like, oh, this is amazing cream of tartar. No, they're like, that's a fabulous outfit. You've created something cohesive, but really it's because you have good basics. And if you are lacking in basics, and there's so many like checklists, like if you search online or go on Pinterest, like wardrobe basics, and there's a million downloadable links and they're all basically the same. A couple of camis, good denim, neutral pants and shorts, blazers, cardigans, jean jackets, t-shirts, and graphic tees. Those are kind of my personal basics. The other thing with basics that I've just learned recently, because I've just had my colors done, is that white and black are not necessarily your best colors for basics. So for me, I am an autumn, and white and black are not my best colors. So I'm leaning more towards creams and browns and, tans and all those kinds of warm tones for my basics, and kind of ditching some of my blacks and whites. But having good basics is so important. And this is an area where you can invest in some fair trade and ethical fashion. So if you look at a company like Everlane or Elegant Tees, they have amazing basics. They are all ethical. Quince is another one. Just beautiful t-shirts, beautiful, kind of plain or basic kind of tops and dresses, things that you can style in lots of different ways, with the fun jackets and sweaters and different things that you have, or shoes or whatever. Nisolo is another brand that's a shoe brand that makes beautiful basic kind of classic shoes that go with everything. But but like Susan shared this last night, when you buy ethical fashion brands, you know that there's not only more care put into the person that made the product and their livelihood and working environment, but then in turn, the product is a higher quality and will probably last you longer and be worth that additional kind of usually pretty small investment. So, look at that when you're working on your basics and making sure you've got your wardrobe foundations, your cream of tartar in place. Because it really makes a difference and helps you eliminate that I have nothing to wear kind of feeling. Okay, next tip number 3, and I talk about this all the time, consider renting. So I'd love to know in the chat how many of you use or have used some kind of rental in the past. The two I've used the most are Rent the Runway and Nuuly. I'm a huge proponent of renting. I've rented from Rent the Runway for almost 8 years. And I love it. And I love it for a couple reasons. Obviously, I'm not buying a new dress for an event, even though I want something new for that event. So like if I have like, a gala or a Trades of Hope event or something, I want to, I know I'm going to be photographed. I know it's going to be on social media. I know, I want to have something that looks great in the pictures and is new, but I don't want to go out and buy a fancy dress for every wedding that I attend. But I like that feeling of having something fresh and exciting to wear. So renting is like hits the note every time. Plus, instead of me buying a dress and wearing it once, I'm renting a dress, and possibly hundreds, thousands of other women are also renting that dress. So think about the lifespan of that dress and talk about price per wear, how many uses that dress receives. And it's dry cleaned in between every wear. And I've never received a dress that I was like, this feels like 1,000 people have worn it. It's always, they take them out of rotation if they've like lived their life. But I don't know, I think it's like sisterhood of the traveling pants, right? It's like such a beautiful concept to think that this article of clothing can have such a life and attend weddings and go to the galas and the special nights out and the, you know, all the bridal showers and all those things that people rent for, how beautiful it is that this dress is like lived this whole life. I love stories. We love stories at Trade the Pope. So of course I'm like I love the story of that dress and whatever it is, like this top in this picture, I rented for my sister's 40th birthday weekend in New Orleans. Like, don't I look like I'm going to New Orleans? But such a fun top. I often also rent for trips because I don't know about you, when I go on vacation, I also like to have new things. So Rent the Runway has kind of regular clothes that you can rent, and Nuuly is a great brand for more like everyday type pieces. I'm not wearing a rental today, but I've got 6 pieces from Nuuly right now for my monthly box that I picked out. The thing I love about Nuuly is it's brands that I recognize. I know they're going to fit, and I can wear them multiple times before I have to send them back. And they're like casual things, you know, a lot of Anthropologie and things that I've, you know, can wear in like my normal day-to-day life. But renting is so fun and it's so satisfying. And when you dig into the reviews, you can really see what the items look like on real people. I know for Rent the Runway, you can actually set it to be your size, your frame type, your height, you know, what size you normally wear, your weight, like all of that. And then you only see reviews of real people that look like you. And so you can totally see like what it's going to look like. And they give you 2 sizes. And it's super fun. I said also beware of the boxes. I don't know if you've ever tried like Stitch Fix or Trendsend or Daily Look. The subscription boxes sound like a really good idea, but where I would say beware is just because of what I've seen. I've gone into so many closets, again, like these are like cautionary tales from women's closets. I've gone into so many closets where there is a Stitch Fix blouse hanging with the tags on, because you know how it goes. If you've done it, you get the box and you're like, well, I get a 20% discount if I buy all the stuff, but I don't really like this blouse, but whatever, it's worth it when you start doing the math. But is it really worth it? No. If there's something hanging in your closet with tags on it, there was something that happened that shouldn't have happened. You need to ask yourself, like, why is this hanging here? What did I buy it because it was a good deal? Did I buy it because of Stitch Fix? So Stitch Fix can't look at your closet and see what you have. They're just going to send you based on an algorithm and a profile that you've filled out. Renting, you can look at the items and select them based on what you need for your closet. Both are interesting ways to shop, but I definitely think renting is super powerful, especially when it comes to slowing down your fashion. If anybody wants a code for trying Nuuly for $10 off, let me know. I have a referral code. Definitely try it. Okay, tip number 4, don't shop. I'm still renting. Don't shop on an empty stomach. Just like you wouldn't go to the grocery store starving or without a list, you should not go just like idly shopping. Now, some people are like, I would never do that because I hate shopping. That is not me. I am not somebody that's like, I hate, like, I've never said those words, but I would never even, like, if somebody said, let's go shopping, I'd be like, yes, what time? Like, let's go. Because I think it's actually fun. But when you're shopping, you really want to make sure that you have some intention, especially if you have little willpower, right? So I love planning out for events and for trips, and even for like the week to come, like you do meal planning, you can kind of like outfit plan a little bit. And if you've got things that are coming up, or like let's say you've got a dinner, like, you know, or a date night, and you're like, I really want to make sure that I have an easy night getting dressed and I feel really confident because I want to look really cute on my date night. Well, you can start thinking about that. If the date night's on Saturday, I'll start thinking about it probably on Monday. So if I do go shopping, I have a very specific thing that I'm looking for, or the first thing I want to do is shop my own closet. And that's really the big tip from this, is the intentionality behind your shopping is what really slows down your fashion. So before you go buy something new, consider renting, but really shop your own closet first. There is always something in your closet, unless you have like a teeny tiny closet, which some people do. I have been shocked equally by like the amount of clothes in a woman's closet and like the lack of clothing in a woman's closet. Like I've seen everything in between. But most of us have things that we're like, oh yeah, I love that blouse. I bought that for a date night, 6 months ago, and I haven't worn it again. Like, go in there and look around and see if you can't find something in your own closet And this is what happens when you start shopping earlier in the week, or you start thinking about it like on Monday or Tuesday for something that's coming up on the weekend, because then you're not panic purchasing. You're not running into the store at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and buying whatever because you've got, an event that night and you still haven't figured out what you're going to wear. Don't be in that situation. Make a plan and, execute the plan, and then you will ultimately make a better decision and consume less. So super important. And then my last tip is just take time to get to know your own style. Knowing your body shape, your style, personality, your colors is so important to crafting that objective lens. I was talking about like the insecurities and the struggles that so many women have. So, and I had those too. And I took the time to understand why things work for me, why things don't work for me. And then I can avoid the things that don't and focus on the things that do. And I just have clarity and ease and joy in getting dressed every day. And my whole philosophy of style is that a stylish and confident woman is an unstoppable force for good. When you feel good, when you've got your outfit on that gives you that confidence, you can go out into the world and do the thing that lights you up. And for us, and most of us here, it's Trades of Hope. It's empowering women. It's doing something through fashion that gives so much empowerment and joy to us. So when you love your style and you love your what you've got going on, it gives you more confidence to go out and advocate and do the things that you want to do for the world and for your community. So there's lots of ways to get to know your style. There's lots of things on Pinterest. There's lots of personal stylists to follow on Instagram that give great resources. Just taking that extra time, maybe even hiring somebody that's local to you to come in and clean out your closet with you. I can tell you it was worth every penny. Getting my colors done was worth every penny. These are investments that ultimately help you spend and consume less, which is what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to slow down our fashion. We're trying to not make purchases of things that we don't need, that don't make us feel incredible, that are not right for us. Those are the things we want to stop doing so that we can hone in on the things that are perfect for us so that we can get dressed every day and feel amazing. So it is Fashion Revolution Week. We have been here this week talking about Fashion Revolution. All of the partners have been participating in a social media challenge. And it's because we are involved in this conversation as partners with Trades of Hope and affiliates. We are part of the solution, and we are passionate about learning and helping to make the mission here, reimagine a just and equitable fashion system for people and the planet. We love our artisan partners, and we are in this dignified partnership with them that is around fashion, jewelry, bags, scarves, home decor. And we are passionate about design, and we're passionate about style, and we're passionate about the impact that these items, these fashion items have on their lives and on our lives as partners. I love it. I've been a partner for 10 years. I wouldn't trade a second of the last decade of my life and the work that I've been able to do. I have felt fulfilled, and I have grown, I have learned, and I just love what I do every single day. So if you're thinking about becoming a partner, if you're in this group and maybe you've been here for a couple of days, you've been here for a couple of months, and you're seeing and hearing things that you're like, you know what, like this feels like a good time to stay involved in this fashion revolution conversation, or maybe now it's time to become a partner. We are offering a special mentoring program. We're calling it the 1K in May mentoring group, where we're going to help you, give you the tools and steer you in the direction of achieving your first $1,000 in sales, hopefully in the month of May, in the month that you're essentially launching. But you got to join this month. Doors close on April 30th, but this group will be led by myself, by Susan, who you met last night, and Melanie Sanukian, who is another national director in Trades of Hope and an incredible woman who's here on this call tonight too. And we want to link arms with you to help you be wildly successful in your Trades of Hope business as you get started, because we know what it can mean. And we know what it can mean for you. We know what it can mean for women around the world. We know, because we've all been here 7, 8, 9, 10 years, we know what this business can mean. So thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you took away, I would love to know in the comments, like what your favorite tip was, or what you're immediately going to go change or do or try? Are you going to go rent? You're going to go return some sale items that you bought? You're going to, start planning for an upcoming trip and thinking about shopping your own closet. These are all really fun, easy ways to slow down your fashion and just be more intentional in the way that you consume. And when we know better, we do better. And like Susan said last night, it's not about perfection. It's not about shame. It's not about guilt. Like, we're all in this world, right? And whether you love fashion or you're not really interested in it, or somewhere in between, we have a lot of access. And it's easy to shop, and it's easy to buy things. So even if you just have that moment of pause, or question that brand, or dig a little deeper in a website, or send a message to your favorite retailer, that's powerful stuff. It's always small groups of people with making shifts in their behaviors and choices, and that create those ripples of change, right? I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast stones and create many ripples. And that's all of us. That's every single one of us in Trades of Hope. We are casting our stones from wherever we are, with whatever life that we have and the size of our business, whether it's an affiliate or a national director like me, or whatever, wherever you are in your ability to contribute. You're casting those stones. When you're telling somebody about ethical fashion or fair trade, you're sharing what you've learned, even here in this group, you're casting that stone, you're creating a ripple of impact. And gosh, the world needs ripples of hope, ripples of goodness, ripples of kindness and caring. Knowing Ruby, our artisan in India, shared a quote with us that she said, "It's so good to know that far, far away, there's a company who cares so much about the people that made their product." And I was thinking about this, and I was like, shouldn't that just be the norm? Shouldn't everybody if every human just cared a little bit more about other humans, it's making me emotional, then wouldn't the world just be a beautiful place? And isn't it cool that we get to do it through something that's so accessible, like a beautiful necklace and a great pair of earrings? Like, we don't have to do it through something complicated. We don't have to relocate to live across the world to make a huge difference in the lives of others. And just care a little bit more about the way that we consume fashion and the way that we share about it with others. And that's really what being a partner at Trades of Hope is all about, or being an affiliate. It's about, and then just deciding, you know what, I'm gonna take steps to do something. I'm gonna do something, and I'm gonna do it nervous, I'm gonna do it afraid, but Ruby knows that we care, and that means a lot to me, because it's true. And I want a world where people care about one another. And that's what Fashion Revolution Week is about as well. So I hope that you love what you heard tonight. I hope that you love what you're learning in this group. I hope that you become a partner and affiliate with us. We are excited for you. We want to mentor you in May, help you be successful. We're so grateful. And I hope that you have a wonderful night. I will be sharing the winner of these tomorrow, and make sure to tune in tomorrow night for the final installment with Elizabeth Heichkins, one of our beautiful founders, who's going to be sharing even more about fashion as a force for good, and kind of how Trades of Hope uses this beautiful, accessible thing that we are all involved in to make the world a better place. So don't miss it. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. All right, friends, have a beautiful rest of your evening. Thank you so much. Bye.